would you say if a cop started grilling you right now and every word could be used to build a case against you? Most drivers think being nice will protect them, but one careless sentence can turn a simple stop into your own confession. Before I reveal the 6 words, hit subscribe right now so you can find this video again when you actually need it. And tap like because what you're about to hear could save you from talking yourself into charges. Most people have no idea how fast a normal police encounter can flip into an interrogation. It happens in seconds. One casual question becomes 5. Then the officer starts acting friendly. Then the silence feels awkward. Then you start explaining. That is the trap. In this video, you're going to learn the 6-word line that can stop your side of the questioning cold, the backup line you use if they keep pushing, the question that tells you whether you're actually free to leave, and the sentence that protects you from giving away search consent. Let me show you exactly how this works in the street, in the car, and in the interview room. Here's the trick they don't want you knowing. Police are allowed to ask. You are often allowed to refuse. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings, not internet myths. And if you wait too long, you can lose the protection you thought you had. Now let's talk about why this matters so much to you. A lot of people think police only build cases with fingerprints, cameras, and lab tests. That is not how it usually starts. It starts with your mouth. It starts with your own timeline, your own guesses, your own nervous jokes, and your own attempt to look innocent. Here's the reality. When you talk too much, you give the officer little pieces to compare, twist, and write down. Even an honest person can sound shady when scared. Listen closely because this is critical. Your goal is not to win a debate on the roadside. Your goal is to get through the encounter safely without handing over evidence. You still comply with lawful orders. You still hand over your license if you're driving. You keep your hands visible. You stay calm. But you stop volunteering the stuff that turns a stop into a case. The first line is the one from the title, and you need to burn it into your brain right now. Here's exactly what you say. I want a lawyer right now. Word for word. Memorize that line. Not maybe. Not I think. Not do you think I need one. Not should I get an attorney. You say it clearly and you say it once in a calm voice. If they keep asking questions, you repeat it. I want a lawyer right now. Those 6 words matter because the Supreme Court has made this very simple. In Miranda versus Arizona, the court said if a person in custody says they want an attorney, questioning must stop until the attorney is present. Then in Davis versus United States, the court said your request has to be clear. So maybe I should talk to a lawyer is weak. I want a lawyer right now is clear. Watch what happens when you do this the right way. The whole game changes. The officer can still process the arrest if there is one. They can still do paperwork. They can still hold you if the law allows it. But they are not supposed to keep squeezing you for statements after you clearly ask for counsel. That is the power here. You are shutting down your side of the interrogation. You are cutting off the free evidence stream. This is 100% legal. You are not being rude. You are not admitting guilt. You are using a constitutional protection that exists for a reason. Bad way. Most drivers say, I didn't do anything, I can explain. Then the officer keeps talking, spots one tiny inconsistency, and writes down every word. Good way. Smart drivers say, I want a lawyer right now. Then the pressure to keep chatting loses its power and your statements stop feeding the case. A lot of people blow this because they think asking for a lawyer makes them look guilty. That thinking destroys them. Innocent people talk themselves into trouble every day because they think truth alone will save them. Truth does not always sound clean when you're tired, scared, or confused. You forget times, you guess distances, you say never, then remember one exception. That is all the officer needs to say you changed your story. Legal experts agree this is your strongest protection. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings. And the cleaner your request, the safer you are. There is one more detail you need to understand. This line works best when questioning is actually happening and especially when you are in custody. If you're just dealing with a basic traffic ticket, you still provide the basic documents the law requires. But the second the officer shifts into digging for a confession, asking about crimes, or trying to get you to explain a situation in detail, this line becomes your shield. You do not need a speech. You do not need a debate. You need 6 words. Have you ever felt that pressure to explain yourself during a stop? Drop a comment below because that pressure is exactly what gets people in trouble. Now let's go to the second tactic because a lot of you will need this one just as much. Here's exactly what you say. I am exercising my right to remain silent. Word for word. That line matters because silence by itself is not always enough. This is where people get burned. They think if they just sit there quietly, the law automatically protects them. Sometimes it does not work that way. In Berghuis versus Thompkins, the Supreme Court said a suspect must clearly invoke the right to remain silent. In plain English, if you want that protection, you have to say so clearly. Then in Salinas versus Texas, the court said that before arrest and before Miranda warnings, silence alone may not protect you unless you expressly claim the privilege. That means your silence can be misunderstood and in some situations even used against you if you never clearly say why you are staying silent. Here's the reality. Quiet lips are good, but clear words are better. You do not just fold your arms and hope the law reads your mind. You say the line, "I am exercising my right to remain silent." Then you stop talking. That second part matters just as much as the first. Once you say it, do not ruin it by jumping back in with, "but just so you know," or "for the record." No, you invoked it. Now live it. Bad way. Most drivers say, "I've got nothing to hide, ask me anything." Then they fill the silence with guesses, excuses, and details that can be picked apart later. Good way. Smart drivers say, "I am exercising my right to remain silent." Then they stop handing over free information and stop digging the hole deeper. Let me show you exactly why this works so well. Police often use silence against you emotionally before they ever use it legally. They sit there, they wait, they act disappointed. They say things like, "If you didn't do anything, why not just tell me?" That is not a magic truth test. That is pressure. Your job is not to make the officer feel better. Your job is to protect your future. If you stay calm and use the line, you make your position unmistakable. You are not confused. You are not playing games. You are clearly invoking a constitutional right. And no, this does not mean you fight the officer. It does not mean you ignore lawful commands. If they tell you to step out of the car and the law requires it, you step out. If they ask for your license and registration during a traffic stop, you provide them. But when they start asking where you came from, who you were with, why your friend said something different, or whether that bag belongs to you, you do not start explaining. You use the line and stop. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings. Legal experts agree this is your strongest protection. The less you say, the less they can twist. And there's another reason this tactic matters. People think they can out-talk trained investigators. You probably can't. They do this every day. They know how to sound friendly. They know how to act like they already know everything. They know how to make you think your only smart move is to clear things up. But every extra sentence becomes a new thing to challenge. That is why your short line is so powerful. It gives them nothing to work with. The third tactic is the one that tells you whether the encounter is even supposed to continue. You look at the officer and say this, "Am I being detained or am I free to go?" Those exact words. This line is huge because it forces the moment to become clear. Either you are being held or you are not. If you are not, you leave calmly. If you are, then you know this is no longer a casual chat and you stop treating it like one. The ACLU's public guidance literally tells people to ask, "Am I being detained?" and "Am I free to go?" Because that question matters. Now, I need you to understand something important. During a lawful traffic stop, you usually are detained until the stop's mission is done. So this line is not a teleport button. It does not magically end the stop the second you say it. What it does is expose when the officer is drifting from the reason for the stop into a fishing trip. In Rodriguez versus United States, the Supreme Court said police cannot stretch a traffic stop longer than needed for the traffic job unless they have independent, reasonable suspicion. In simple English, they do not get bonus time to poke around just because they feel curious. If the warning or ticket is done and now they want to keep chatting, keep you there, or wait for a dog without a valid reason, this question matters. Bad way. Most drivers say, "Sure, I can stay and answer a few more things." Then the stop drags on, the questions widen, and the officer keeps looking for a reason to search. Good way. Smart drivers say, "Am I being detained or am I free to go?" Then the officer has to make the moment clear and you stop volunteering extra time. Watch what happens when you use this calmly. The whole tone changes. You stop acting like a nervous guest asking permission. You start acting like a person who knows the limits of the encounter. If they say you are free to go, you leave. Not with attitude, not with a speech, you just go. If they say you are detained, then you know exactly where you stand, and you stop answering questions beyond what the law requires. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings. A lot of bad outcomes happen because you stay in a friendly conversation that stopped being friendly 10 minutes ago. The officer already gave back your documents. The warning is done. But you keep standing there because you think leaving would look suspicious. That is backwards. If you are free to leave, leaving is normal. If you are not free to leave, now you know you are in a detention, and your protections matter even more. Most viewers clicked away already. If you're still here, you're serious about protecting your rights. Hit like right now because the next tactic is the one that stops you from giving away your search rights with one nervous word. The fourth tactic is simple, direct, and powerful. Here's exactly what you say. "I do not consent to a search." word for word. Memorize that line too. The ACLU's Know Your Rights guidance tells people to calmly say that sentence if police ask to search you, your car, or your stuff. And you need to understand why that matters. If police already have legal grounds to search, they may search anyway. Your words do not create a force field, but if they are trying to get your permission, your clear refusal protects you from giving that permission away for free. That matters later. It can matter a lot. Bad way. Most drivers say, yeah, go ahead, I've got nothing in there. Then they have consented, and the search becomes much harder to challenge later. Good way. Smart drivers say, I do not consent to a search. Then they preserve their rights and refuse to do the officer's job for them. This is 100% legal. You are allowed to refuse consent. You are allowed to say no calmly. You do not physically block the search. You do not pull away. You do not touch the officer. You just say the line. Then you stay calm and let the legal line stay clear. That matters because a lot of cases are won or lost on consent. If you hand it over with a smile, you gave away one of your biggest protections. And notice how all four tactics work together. If questioning starts, you can say, I want a lawyer right now. If they keep pushing for chatter, you can say, I am exercising my right to remain silent. If the stop seems finished but they keep hanging around, you ask, am I being detained or am I free to go? And if they ask to look through your car or bag, you say, I do not consent to a search. Short lines, clear lines, powerful lines. Now let's tie the law together in plain English so you never forget why these words matter. Miranda versus Arizona said that if a person in custody says they want a lawyer, questioning must stop until the lawyer is there. That is the big foundation. Davis versus United States added an important warning. Your request has to be clear. Maybe I need a lawyer is weak. I want a lawyer right now is strong. Berghuis versus Thompkins said the same basic thing about silence. If you want the right to remain silent to clearly kick in, you need to clearly invoke it. Salinas versus Texas made that even more important before arrest and before Miranda warnings. Silence alone may not protect you unless you say you are using the right. And Rodriguez versus United States says police cannot drag out a traffic stop longer than needed for the traffic mission unless they have another legal reason. Here's the reality. The law rewards clarity. Vague words hurt you. Clear words protect you. So let's walk through a real stop the wrong way and the right way. You are driving home at night. The officer pulls you over for a broken taillight. You hand over your license. So far, normal. Then the officer asks where you're coming from, who you were with, whether you drank anything, why you seem nervous, whether that backpack in the back seat is yours, and whether you mind if they take a quick look. The wrong way starts with you trying to sound helpful. You say you were at a friend's place, then later say cousin's place. You say you had one drink, then say actually just half. You laugh because you're nervous. You say sure, go ahead and search because you want to look innocent. 10 minutes later, the stop is now an investigation. Your own words created the road. Now the right way. You hand over the required documents, you stay calm, you keep your hands where they can be seen. When the questions shift from the traffic issue into digging, you say, I am exercising my right to remain silent. If the officer starts pressing harder or you are being taken into custody, you say, I want a lawyer right now. If the warning or ticket is done and the officer keeps fishing, you ask, am I being detained or am I free to go? If they ask to search, you say, I do not consent to a search. Watch what happens. You stop feeding the encounter. You stop giving away consent. You stop guessing. You stop making the case easier for them. Let me show you exactly what makes this so powerful. In the wrong version, you become your own witness against yourself. In the right version, you become controlled, clear, and legally protected. That does not guarantee the officer goes home happy. It does not guarantee there is no arrest, but it massively reduces the chance that your own words and consent become the key evidence used against you. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings. Next week, I'm breaking down what to say when cops claim they smell weed. Subscribe right now so you don't miss it, because that line gets people searched every single day. So lock this in. First, if questioning turns serious, say, I want a lawyer right now. That is your cleanest shutdown line. Second, say, I am exercising my right to remain silent, because silence works best when you clearly claim it. Third, ask, am I being detained or am I free to go? So you know whether the stop is over or turning into something else. Fourth, say, I do not consent to a search, so you do not hand away your rights by accident. You do not need a speech. You do not need attitude. You need clear words, a calm voice, and enough control to stop helping build the case against you. Hit subscribe so you catch that weed search video next. Smash like if this script just changed how you'll handle a stop. And drop a comment telling me which line you're memorizing first. Stay safe, stay calm, and protect your rights.